Welcome to this video lecture on my advanced YouTube channel where today we are discussing the cheekbones. Now, the cheekbones are going to pivot between the eye region and the jaw. Therefore, optimizing and maximizing the visibility and projection of the cheekbones is going to be one of the most effective routes of facial improvement that you can undergo. And I'm going to be teaching you how you can begin the process of improving it naturally. Now, I'm going to begin with my story. This is who I am. My name's Levio. I made this journey. I begun at this stage. This was my front profile and that was my side profile, and you can see the change that I made happen. Now, what is one of the most direct differences that we can see? Well, it's going to be the visibility of the actual cheekbone. And this is so fundamental since, one, it's going to allow for the contour that makes up hollow cheeks, and two, it's going to support the eye region. My eyes, quite frankly, used to look sunken. We can see this from the front profile and from the side profile. The orbital vector was a lot less positive. Now, what that means is if we look at this line under the eye, how projected is it? Well, let's compare this to this. And what was the consequence? Well, the consequence of this in my day-to-day life was people made fun of me for my appearance. It was impossible for me to be a side model had I stayed looking the same. And the same thing is going to be true for you. And guess what? The older you get, the more people are aligned with their subconscious mind. The younger you are, the more people are actively going to think with their conscious mind. That's why children are the way they are. They don't actually have many ulterior motives. But when you age, what happens? Well, think about your own life experiences compared from the last few years compared to now. The people around you as they age, what are they like? Same thing happens with the looks, and it's only enhanced. Therefore, I can tell you from my life experiences that improving my appearance, and in particular through the zygomatic bones, maximizing how projected and visible they are, had one of the single most important differences in how I was treated, my life opportunities, and how my life goes from now onwards. Henceforth, maximizing it is going to help you. This is a fact. Now, not only that, but we can see just some of the examples of the people who I have directed into seeing change. And you'll notice that this is the most recent addition to the images of some of my clients that I can show you. He recently completed his transformation under my guidance, and you can see for yourself what is one of the most direct differences. Well, it's going to be the cheekbone projection. The cheekbone projection supported his jaw and then paved the way for his face looking this more harmonious. Same thing with you. This level of change is only possible through the cheekbones. Now, how are we going to improve the zygomatic width and the projection of it? Well, we're going to understand the hormonal balance. Your hormones are obviously going to be important for bones, but why? Well, I'm going to tell you in short. Your hormones are the signal for the bone remodeling process to occur at its current rate. And if this is not completely refined, what's going to happen? Well, it's going to go one of two ways. Either your bones are going to become really brittle, and then you're going to suffer with some diseases, which in turn are going to make your bones either collapse under too much strain, or it's going to make, to a lesser degree, your face look a lot less healthy, since the bone mass is brittle. There is no type 1 collagen in the bone, and you need type 1 collagen for the tensile strain that the bone is going to experience, as well as the compressive strain. If the bone is unable, and in particular zygomatic arch is unable to support the weight of all of this bone up here, what's going to happen? Well, it's going to collapse inwards. And that's what most people have. Why do people look the way that they do when they age? For this reason. Now, in addition to that, we need to understand the structural and force dynamics, since this is what using mechanotransduction actually signals to the bone that it needs to remodel, and in particular using the tongue, which is our natural palate expander, to signal to the bones that it needs to very slightly expand over time. And the hormones pave the way for this happening. We can think of it as, if we think of a road, imagine we have a road here, and I'll try and draw it in perspective view. We're trying to go here, aren't we? That's what we're trying to do. Now, the road is going to be the hormones in question. And then the actual vehicle, this vehicle is going to be the tongue using arrow. Does that make sense? The tongue is the vehicle, and the path that it follows is determined by the hormones. That's the importance of both of these. Now, we're going to begin by discussing the hormones. In particular, the T to E ratio, this ratio. Now, what is the importance of testosterone and estrogen? Since most people are just going to think, testosterone's good, estrogen bad. That's not how it is, okay? Shocker alert, that is quite frankly not how it is. Rather, the importance of both of these is going to be testosterone signals the bone to thicken. The bone needs to thicken, and it amplifies the remodeling process through its amplification of growth hormone. That's the importance of testosterone. Now, estrogen is a necessity for reducing the osteoclast number and maintaining the bone integrity. If you have too low estrogen, what happens? Well, let's use an example of bodybuilders who abuse aromatase inhibitors. Now, if you don't know what AIs are, aromatase inhibitors, they are going to inhibit an enzyme called aromatase. Aromatase converts testosterone, excess testosterone, into estrogen. Now, inhibiting this transition is then going to reduce the estrogen in the body, isn't it? So, reducing estrogen in the body, what's the consequence? Well, we can see in these bodybuilders that bones are going to become a lot less stronger. And as a consequence, in the long term, what happens to their face? Well, their face is going to become a lot less angular. You may think in the beginning, the excess testosterone makes their face a lot more, their jaw becomes more pronounced, etc. But look at their cheekbones never become more pronounced because the estrogen in their body is so significantly lowered. Now, how are we going to improve this? Well, we're not going to directly just eat food that has testosterone. That's not how it works. Rather, we're going to give our body the ingredients because our body is like a kitchen. You just need to put the ingredients in, and then the body is going to use all of the apparatus in the kitchen to itself form what we need. And the ingredients in question are going to be, most importantly, vitamin K2. You need vitamin K2. It's going to signal to the hormones what it needs to do, and you're going to find this either through supplementation or hard cheese. Then, vitamin D2. This is going to be so obvious. Everyone knows vitamin D2 is important, but until you realize how important it is for your cheekbones, you are not going to be able to actually consistently supplement with this. Sit under the sun, best is to supplement. And before I get into what you're going to do with the tongue for the cheekbones, I'm going to speak about cholesterol. Cholesterol is what makes up the hormones. That is how important cholesterol is. Everyone thinks cholesterol too much is bad, cholesterol this, that, or the other. Look, there's two types of cholesterol, as I'm sure you know. Low density lipoprotein, high density lipoprotein. Guess which one's bad? This we are going to obliterate. This we need, since this performs the function of obliterating low density lipoprotein. Where are you going to find this? Eggs, avocado. Ensure you are having this. High density lipoprotein is your friend. It is only there to support you and eviscerate low density. That is what you need to ensure you're having. This is purely healthy for you, and that's what eggs have. It's a complete misunderstanding that eggs are bad for you because they contain cholesterol. You need cholesterol. You need it. Now, moving on to the tongue, and just before I outline specifically what you're going to do, why is the tongue so important? Now, the tongue is going to play a pivotal role with regards to your cheekbones because, let's think about it. Cheekbones are going to indicate good eye support. Cheekbones are going to indicate good facial development. What supports a good facial development? Well, having good nutrients. That's how our biology is hardwired. Okay, what allows us to consume more nutrients? Well, the digestive process. Where does the digestive process begin? At the mouth. What does the mouth do? The mouth is going to deposit an enzyme called amylase through the salivary glands. And how does this enzyme called amylase, which kickstarts the digestive process in the mouth, then begin going through the lock and key analogy of digesting food? Well, the teeth are going to chew, and the tongue is then going to tongue chew and move the bolus of food around. The tongue is what supports chewing. With just teeth, You can't do anything, can you? You'll put food in, and then what? You're going to chew, it's just going to sit at the bottom. You're never going to be able to eat. The tongue is pivotal. The stronger your tongue is, the more force it's going to push up when you are increasing the surface area to volume ratio of the food. And the tongue, by extension, is also going to support the face. Do you see how everything in biology links together and the physics works for the biology? The stronger the tongue is, well, one, the higher the bioavailability of the food due to how amylase is going to begin the digestive process for the intestines. And also, indirectly, the stronger the tongue is, the more force it can generate over time to support the craniofacial complex. And regardless of your age, the bone remodeling process is going to be determined through Wolff's Law, the force that you can chronically apply, and the tongue does that. Now, the tongue must sit on the roof, but this time, you need to. Now, watch the arrow video if you haven't. The arrow video, as I say every single video, the arrow video is fundamental. Watch that again after this video, and then watch every single other video I've made on this channel. All of these videos are designed to help you. Your tongue needs to pressurize at the dental arch above the tooth on the molars, okay? And it needs to expand at roughly this angle. You can see roughly a 60-degree angle. This is going to be fundamental since the force is going to travel right along the zygomatic contour. Over time, what's going to happen? Well, over time, I'm going to tell you, my life story is going to happen. Not just that, but to a small degree, since obviously through just these videos, I can't, as much as I'd love to, I can't tell you in good conscience that you're going to be able to see this level of change. This level of change is only possible through being guided based on your bone anatomy. But guess what? You're going to be able to see the first essences of change. And at the end of the day, that's infinitely better than remaining in the same position and then over time decaying. Everyone decays. These people, through my guidance, saw change. My life is a life of change, a life of improving my appearance. And that's what I have made possible through my own life story for everyone I've worked with and for you. And on that note, comment down below any future ideas for videos that you want me to make. This video was actually someone in my comment section's idea, so your idea could be the next video. And make sure that you watch all of my other videos. As I said earlier, these videos are designed to help you. I'll see you in the next video.